Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is taking our reference photo and combining two copies. We're going to have a black and white copy and a color copy. You guys are going to get multiple of these. You'll get two color, two black and white, pretty much just because I want to make sure that you have an extra if you mess up. So where we're going with this is we are going to put both copies together. So what we want to see is balance between the black and white pieces and the color pieces. We want to have about an equal number of each, so that we don't have too many black and white or too many color. The goal here is that eventually we are going to be doing this project with both graphite and colored pencil. So you can see this is a demo that Mr. Edgley has been working on. This is how we figured out we didn't want blurriness in the subject, because he was thinking that this would be really, really hard for all of us. And here's kind of where we're going with this. So this is a really small sample, but you can see there's going to be parts that are graphite and parts that are in colored pencil. So we're actually going to learn both media in this one single project, which is pretty cool. So to do this, we are going to take our black and white copy first, and this is going to be the one that we actually cut up, and we will glue that onto our color copy. So on your pictures, you have kind of a long, what I'm going to refer to as a long side and a short side. So the long side here is just the longer edge of your paper. The shorter side is the shorter edge of your paper. So I have a picture here that is landscape format. If you had a picture that was portrait style, like this one here, where the paper is taller than it is wide, then the long side would be on the sides, and then the short side would actually be on the top and bottom, right? So you'll have to kind of adjust that based on what you have. But on the long sides of the paper, I am going to make an odd number of lines. So from long side to long side, I want to make like 3 lines or 5 lines. I suppose that you could do 7 if you wanted to, but the more lines that you make, the more pieces you're going to have, and we don't want to have a bajillion pieces. So I'm going to start with 3. Again, you could do 3 or 5. The other thing with these lines is we don't want them to be parallel. So we actually want to turn the ruler every time we make a line from long side to long side, so that they are not lining up exactly with each other each time. Okay, so you can kind of see here, I've got my lines. I have 3 of them going from long side to long side, and they're non-parallel. If I was working on something like this, I would be going from long side to long side this way, right? So I would be actually drawing my lines kind of horizontal instead of vertical. Once you have your long side, your odd number of lines done, then you are going to do an even number of non-parallel lines from short side to short side. So I'm going to do 2, but again, you could do 4 if you wanted to. So I'd say 2 or 4 is a good number to aim for on these short sides, okay? You could do 5 lines here and 4 lines here, but we talked about this a little bit yesterday, that that's kind of sadistic. If you want a bajillion pieces, you could have more lines. Less lines will give you less pieces, okay? Once you have this all set up with your ruler, then you are going to start cutting, but we're only going to cut 1 strip at a time. So I like to cut one of my odd numbered strips that I did from long side to long side. And with your scissors, you just want to be kind of careful about how you're cutting. Try and do your best cutting work so that you have nice clean edges, and follow along with your line. And I'm going to cut just the 1 at a time, okay? Now I need my color copy, because I am going to be lining this up now with that color copy. So the goal is that we're combining the 2 of these. Once I have one strip cut out, then I will cut the 2 lines that will separate this into 3 pieces. And then I have a choice to make here. So my choice is I am either going to take out the middle piece and leave the 2 edge pieces, or I can leave the middle piece in as a starting point and take my 2 edge pieces out. So basically we're going to be choosing every other piece to either leave in or take out. For this first one, I'm going to leave my 2 end pieces in just because they have some more interesting stuff in them. They've got like part of the fingers here. And I'm going to take out that middle piece. So I'm going to actually put this piece kind of in like a discard pile so that I know I'm not using it. Then with my glue, I am going to put just a dot, not a lot of glue. So I'm like literally touching the tip of the glue to the paper. If it doesn't work, try closing it and then opening it again. I'm going to touch the tip of my glue to my paper and like barely push so that I have basically a teeny tiny drop of glue on every corner. And then I will flip this over and get this to line up as best as I can. I have a few seconds of like kind of moving time here with my glue. So I'm going to get this to line up with my color copy, and then I can kind of gently smooth the edges down. Okay. I got a little bit of glue oozing there, which tells me I had a little too much on that spot. So next time, I'm going to try just minimizing, barely pressing the amount of glue I have in every corner, because you really only need a little bit to stick it down. And then same thing here. I'm going to just try and move this around until I get it lined up the way I think it should be, and then gently press down on my corners. Okay. Now, next strip, once I'm done with that one, I am going to cut out. And on this next one, I'm going to leave the opposite in my final copy. So this one, once I cut these lines, I'm actually going to keep the middle one because it's opposite of what I just did. So again, I'm going to cut on my lines as carefully as I can, trying to take my time and take it slow. And then if I replace all these pieces, you can kind of see that I'm going to take out now my 2 edge pieces. So then I'll leave my middle piece in and flip this over and put a little dot of glue on every corner. And then I want to just try and get my line that I drew to be lined up, right? So I kind of want this edge to be lined up as best as I can get it with what I've already got down here. And then I also need to check on my actual photo that I am lining up my photo itself with the color copy. So the black and white and the color need to line up as best as I can get them. Sometimes it's a little imperfect, and that's okay. And I'm just going to keep going just like that. So this next one that I cut, I'm going to discard my middle piece and I will leave the end pieces. And then this final piece will be just the middle piece. Okay. So what this eventually is going to look like is something like this, where I have every other piece removed and it switches from column to column or from row to row. Okay. So that'll give us the balance between the black and white and the color copy that we want. So that's how we're going to do our reference photos. One